Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out the fourth quarter of this year, 2017. I am excited. I'm sure you're excited too if you're watching this video. I loved Red Dead Redemption, the first version, so much. I started listening to country music. I watched Western movies. I bought a Smith & Wesson 38 revolver. I even read a book, if you can believe that. A gamer reading a book. How often does that happen? I don't know. It was True Grit, by the way, which was also a great movie. So if you have time and you're into the genre, you might want to check that out. So according to reports, John Marston will be in the game, but he will not be a playable character. Now, supposedly there are going to be 3 playable characters, much like Grand Theft Auto 5. So I've come up with 3 characters that I thought would be interesting to play. So I'm going to talk about that right now. The first character I call Moses. Moses is a former slave, and he's trying to free his wife and child. So here's Moses' backstory. Moses was escaping with his wife from his slave owner, and his wife is pregnant. And during the escape, she goes into labor. So as she's giving birth, and Moses is bringing the baby out, right? And he's like, "Oh, bah, it's so cute," right? So then you start hearing dogs off in the distance, like, and that's the slave owner and his men and the dogs who are chasing them. And Moses has to decide, oh man, what am I going to do? I'm going to leave my wife. I'm going to leave my new kid. And she's like, yeah, you must go. You must go. You must be free. You have a chance to be free. Go be free. So Moses doesn't want to do it, but he runs, right? But before he leaves, he's like, I'll return for you and my child. So I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because what an amazing motivation for a character, and that anybody can side with. Okay, so what Moses does when he gets to the north is he is trying to earn money so that he can go back to the south to basically buy his wife and child's freedom. So the problem is, though, up in the north, even though he is now free, it's difficult to make money. Yeah, it's free, but people really don't want to hire him, and maybe he doesn't have the best job skills. I don't know, but he's not making much money, and he's miserable. So I'm thinking, at a low point, what if John Marston stumbles across him and offers to pay him to help the gang commit a robbery? Now, Moses, it turns out, I'm thinking, is a religious man. Maybe he got this from his former slave owner, teaching him about God and Christianity and such, or he's also a man of high morals. That's just who he is. But he is given this decision to make. Is he going to commit this crime to maybe earn the money and go against his morals and religion and his faith? And he ultimately decides that, doing what he can to earn money to save his wife and child are more important than his faith, which I think is pretty interesting, right? I mean, what are you going to do? That's pretty interesting. So anyway, the robbery that he commits with John is successful, and he decides to join the gang. And ultimately what happens is he gets increasingly more brutal in his attempts to earn money. So he continually struggles with this. But ultimately, he does earn enough money. And I'm thinking, too, I don't know exactly how this works, and maybe you can look it up with the history, but before he returns to the South, I'm thinking maybe he has to earn enough money to buy his own legal papers to return to the South. Because even though he's free in the North, you can't return as maybe an escaped slave to the South without legal papers or a pardon of some sort. So I'm thinking he gets those papers and he has extra money, and he returns to the South, and he goes to buy his family. He finds a slave owner, and lo and behold, the slave owner refuses to sell. So what ensues is an amazing, awesome gun battle with the slave owner and his men. And I don't know, it seems epic. Maybe there should be a movie. Seems like a good movie. Maybe a good book. Probably has been a book. But anyway, What do you think? Does that sound like an interesting character? I do. Much more interesting than Franklin was in Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, okay, I just dissed Franklin in Grand Theft Auto. I thought he was kind of boring. He had the dog, and the dog was fun, but I don't know, Franklin was boring. Anyway, there is one problem with this character. It turns out in my research, which I did very little of, other than playing the game a ton, the first one, John Marston is supposed to be born in 1873, and the Civil War ended in 1865. So slavery stopped in 1865, and Marston would be at least, I don't know, 15 or 20 when he's in the gang. So it would be like 1890 when this game was set. So I'm off by like 30 years. But, RockStar could fudge John Marston's birth date or fudge history. It's happened before, and I'd be totally okay with it to play this character. So if you're listening, Rockstar, we need a Moses character and fudge the timeline. Okay, so my second character is not as fleshed out, but I'm thinking we have a half Indian character or an Indian character. It's really weird in Red Redemption that we didn't have almost no interaction with Indians or Native Americans. It was fun though to mix with Mexican and go down and to Mexico and back and forth, and the scenery is beautiful, of course, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like, there's no Native American characters. Now I know in Legends of the Past or something like that, there were a couple of characters that were introduced to the game, but it would be nice to see Native American lives and culture, their tradition, their music in the game. So I'm thinking, plus the battles. Like, if you have this character who's a half Indian, maybe he's raised with the tribe, and he's battling other Indian tribes and or interacting and mixing with them. So you see different types of tribes, because we have this one image of tribes and what they did, but ultimately there were lots of different cultures there and lots of different ways that they had housing and lots of ways that they hunted or grew crops. So it would be, I've never seen that in a game. I mean, maybe it's existed, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a big game, at least. So Rockstar could do this amazing. And plus, imagine the mini games that this character could have and the unique skills. Is he stealthy? Is he a tracker? Is he have bow hunting skills? Hunting, things like that. So I also imagine this character maybe is facing lots of discrimination. So maybe if he's a half, then maybe his kind of the tribe, the Indians, Native Americans, they kind of don't like him. Maybe they hate him. And also, white people hate him. Why? Because white people hate Indians. They always did. So we know that. So he's facing this world where he doesn't fit in with any group. So that would make for, I think, a pretty interesting character. In a sense, he's a true lost man with no home. And but so I figure, at a low point or even at any point, he stumbles across John Marston and the gang, and he readily takes up with the gang, and they're his real sense of family, his first sense of family and belonging. And yeah, I just think it would be an interesting character, and we haven't seen this in a game, or at least I haven't seen it in a game done very well or at all ever. So I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, it would be great to be riding bareback on a horse and yeah, okay. So that was character 2. Now on to character 3. My third and last character is a female. So I'm thinking about a female character. I'm calling her Annie, named after Annie Oakley. But I'm thinking of this character as a tough, hardened, drunken female gunslinger. So I'm thinking her backstory is she grew up in a whorehouse. She had an unloving prostitute mother who ultimately dies of syphilis when Annie, and that orphans Annie at age 11. So she's still in this whorehouse. But then soon after that, she's raped in the whorehouse, which is, pretty horrible. I don't know if Rockstar would go there. It's kind of grim. So she's raped, and she's scared, and she takes off on her own at age 11. And From that point on, she's battling to survive, eating, living. She also has problems with alcoholism and drugs, and being preyed on because she's small and young by men. So she's got a lot of problems. She's seeking survival, revenge, and wild times. So this is a character who is, I see, the craziest of the three that you could play. And I think of her kind of a bit like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5. Um, and I kind of want to even throw in some more stuff here with her because we're just throwing stuff on this character. She's interested in both men and sometimes women, but ultimately a complete loner. She kind of hates everybody. Um, but yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun to play that character and then see the epic ultimate like battle for her would be to go back and find the man who maybe raped her and maybe was abusive toward her mom and her um, before she got raped and left as an orphan, and ultimately kill that guy, or. So that would be pretty cool. So that's it. Those are the three characters I came up with. Um, what do you think? Do you have any ideas for characters? Any changes to these characters? Let me know in the comments, and I can't wait for Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out hopefully fourth quarter